This is Bill Simmons, and I want to tell you about my movie podcast, The Rewatchables, where each week I'm joined by ringer movie lovers, Chris Ryan, Sean Vennessy, Van Lathan, Kyle Brandt, Mally Rubin. We have a whole bunch of people on. We talk about movies we can't stop rewatching, and now you can watch us cover these movies on video in the Spotify app. We have covered over 350 movies, including Heat, Goodfellas, Boogie Nights, Pulp Fiction. We have some real heavy hitters coming up here in 2025. Make sure to follow us on Spotify, where you can watch every new episode right now. Just head to the Rewatchables on Spotify, now on video.
Welcome to the Ringer NFL Draft Show. My name is Danny Heifetz, and I'm joined by Danny Kelly and Craig Perlbeck. And the first round of the 2025 NFL Draft is over. We have done 3 months of talking about this shit, and now it is actually happened. So thank God we have stuff to talk about now.
We have results.
We have results to talk about instead of just an endless string of hypotheticals.
Heifetz, this is, I hate to bring this up, but this is a little embarrassing for you. I know this is a big night for you, and you're feeling great. You're really excited. I know you wanted to dress up for the occasion, but unfortunately, you kind of got one-upped. Adam Schefter stole your outfit on television.
Yeah, if you're watching on Spotify,
how embarrassing!
You can check the video. Randomly, I ended up wearing the same outfit that Adam Schefter did.
And this was your idea. You've always been a sweatshirt over the dress shirt and tie, but still wearing a blazer guy.
I'm a huge fan of wearing suit on draft night with the sweatshirt underneath, and it just so happened that Adam and I wore the same hoodie and tie, which is, someone's going to have to change.
Yeah, because I remember you thought of it years ago. You were at a wedding and you were supposed to wear a vest, but you forgot the vest, and you're like, you know what? I'll just throw on a hoodie instead, and everybody loved it.
You know, when Joe Judge was plucked from Ole Miss to be like the Giants head coach or whatever the hell happened there, I said to myself, one day the Giants quarterback will come from there, and that day I will wear a hoodie underneath a suit. For the
do you guys know that Derek guy, the dye workwear?
Yeah.
I wonder if he's going to pick this up.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to this.
Anyway.
He's going to have a field day. So I feel like we got to start with, usually if you listen to our show during the fantasy season, we do have a category every Sunday night called Fart or Shart, where we determine if a player's performance, a poor performance, was perhaps a fart, something that comes and goes that you can get over, or a shart that feels a bit more permanent. You got to change the undies. And so I feel like we have to start today with a new category called Dart or Shart.
Oh.
Hey-oh.
Well played, sir.
The Giants trade up for Jaxson Dart. Heifetz, where are you at?
I'm pretty disappointed. I'm not going to lie. I am pretty upset about this. I thought the Giants were trading him for Shedeur. Yep. And I wanted Shedeur Sanders. I thought this was great. I didn't want him at 3.
You did do a lot of lobbying for Shedeur during this whole process.
I think Shedeur is going to be a better quarterback, and I think I'm in a weird place where
it's also kind of like if you're going to do it. Just take Shedeur. You know what
I know. And I guess I'm curious what you think, DK. My immediate take on this and what the Giants did is this feels less like a bet on Jaxson Dart, and it feels more like a bet on Brian Daboll. Weirdly enough.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because frankly, and I'm curious if you agree with this assessment, DK, my issue with Jaxson Dart, it's not that someone tweeted at your blue skied at you that like Jaxson Dart looks like a lost Logan Paul brother, which he does, frankly.
Yeah.
And that is a pro or a con, depending on how you feel. But I think my issue, Jaxson Dart maybe throws under pressure well, and he can run. He's probably the best runner at quarterback in this class after Jalen Miller. My issue is they ran like 5 plays at Ole Miss. Like they ran 5. It's like it's like the Derek Zoolander with the looks. It's like Blue Steel, Ferrari, Latigra. It's all the same look. Like they had 5 plays at Ole Miss, and they made him look different.
He's not an ambi-turner.
It's a one-read offense. Isn't that what they call it?
So the premise of this draft pick, and tell me if I'm wrong, but this is my first take with all this. The premise of the Giants taking Jaxson Dart is, well, he's not ready for the NFL now, right? It's just you have to sit and develop, and when he learns the offense and Brian Daboll teaches him the physical tools and then the mental catches up, he'll be a great quarterback. My issue is Jaxson Dart played at Ole Miss under Lane Kiffin for 3 years, and he still didn't really seem to get this simple-ass fucking offense that well. Like, it wasn't like he had mastered this Ole Miss offense in 3 years of playing. What are we betting on? So we're just betting Brian Daboll's a better coach than Lane Kiffin, right? Like that's what we're doing. DK, is that not? That's my immediate thought. How am I looking?
Well, do you think you don't think he played well within that scheme? I mean, I think he played decently well within that scheme. I think the big question for me is how does that scheme and how does his skill set, what he was doing in that offense, translate to the NFL? And the answer to that a lot of times is it doesn't. And so you have to, there's a huge amount of projection going on with Dart. Like he has tools. He's got a decently good frame, a decently good arm. He's decently athletic. I don't think he's elite at any of those things.
We've used the word decent 4 times in the first 10 minutes.
Well, correct. And that's why I had him ranked outside the first round. I mean, I just don't, none of his traits are elite, but there's enough there that you can kind of say, maybe we'll be able to coach him up and turn him into something more than he is right now. But that's, that might happen, but that is always the question with these guys. It's maybe he could be something great, but probably not. I mean, honestly, probably not.
Can we do... Go ahead, Heifetz.
Well, can I push back for a second? Let me explain. I'm curious what you think. When I'm saying, you're like, because you said, didn't he play well in the offense? Sometimes we use the word paint by numbers to denigrate Kirk Cousins. And I'm like, this is what paint by numbers is the Ole Miss offense of Jaxson Dart. This is a paint by numbers offense. So when I say I don't think Jaxson Dart mastered the offense, what I'm saying is, what happens when the play goes wrong? What happens when your first read isn't there? If you've been there for 3 years, you should probably get to plan B or C. And I'm curious what you think, TK. Did you see Jaxson Dart get to plan C in this offense after 3 years? Because I feel like that didn't happen.
I mean, not consistently. No.
That's an ick for me. And I think that's my problem. Same offense. We're talking about Cam Ward played at 3 schools that were collective 6,000 miles apart in this thing and then just was balling the whole time. And then I look at Jaxson Dart and I'm like, you were the only guy that had the same thing going the whole time. Like, I don't know. And again, here's what's weird. My emotions are like, this is bad. My weird, cold, rational thing is the optimism of like, well, who knows what quarterbacks are going to be good? You traded up like a third and a future third. Who gives a shit? Like, you know what I mean? Like I think weirdly, my cold-heartedness is this is what it means to the pun everyone's going to make, throw a dart, is it has to feel a little weird because you never know. I just feel like I don't like not knowing. I wish knowing that this guy was good, and I feel weird talking myself into it. But I get that this is what it means. It doesn't always get to be cool and sexy when you throw a dart. Sometimes it's going to be fucking weird.
Yeah. I know that it's kind of just, it's a little bit like, maybe I'm just complaining too much, but it would have been better. I would have felt a lot better about this if they just took him in the second round instead of trading up into the first. Maybe that was not possible. Maybe some other team was going to take him. Who knows?
But if Shedeur was on the board, it doesn't change for me. Like the idea that Shedeur is, and maybe I'm wrong. Like, is Jaxson Dart ceiling that much higher than Shedeur?
I don't know. He has better tools. I think Shedeur has a higher floor than him. Put it that way.
Dart's floor is about as low as it gets. That's the unspoken side. Dart's floor is he's a good runner.
Can we do a little best case, worst case scenario here? Because I think with Dart, best case scenario, right? You bring him in. He doesn't have to start. You have Russell Wilson. You have Jameis Winston there. He can learn from vets.
Tommy DeVito.
Cutlets.
He can learn from those 3 accomplished veterans. He can learn from Dayball, who's a proven quarterback developer. Of course, people make the Josh Allen comp, even though I think Josh Allen has ruined 5 years of quarterback scouting that came after him.
They were making that comp too after.
Right,
after
but sure,
it's like, okay.
Dayball and Josh Allen, sure. So he sits most of the year. Maybe they bring him in the final 3-4 games of the season. He looks promising. He's picking up on things. And then you head into 2026 with a guy you feel really good about. You get rid of all your quarterbacks, and Dart's your guy. He's had a year to develop, and you feel pretty good about where things are. The worst case scenario is kind of like the same timeline in terms of when he plays, I feel like, right? To me, it's such a fine line where the worst case is, sure, you still start Russell Wilson. Maybe you play Jameis Winston if Russ doesn't play well or if Russ gets hurt. And then maybe you still try out Jaxson Dart at the end of the season. But let's say he looks fine. He looks okay. He looks mediocre. Then what do you do going into 2026? Because it's like what the Steelers had with Kenny Pickett, where it was like, well, we're not going to move on after 4 games. So we're probably just going to have to do this again, even though we probably know he's not the guy. So you're really like, and if next year's quarterback class is way better, which it might be, and if the Giants suck next year and have the 5th pick in the draft, they're going to be in this awful no man's land of like, we saw 4 or 5 games from Jaxson Dart. He looked okay. Do we stick with this and not take a good quarterback next year? And then you're like, okay, cool. Well, now we've had the Jaxson Dart experience for 2 to 3 years and everyone gets fired and you've been stuck in mediocrity.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like one of those plans that a lot of things have to go exactly right for it to work out. But my worry with this and what I wrote in my grade or whatever from this year, because I did the first round grades, you can go check that out and yell at me if you want on NFLdraft.theringer.com. But I'm just worried they're not going to have the patience they really need, or maybe Dayball is not going to have the leash and Shane is going to have the leash, the length of leash they need for this to really work. And then you could have another coach come in. Maybe they don't like Dart that much. And then this whole thing turns into a waste. You know what I mean? And so I'm just like, they have to thread a needle here to make this work. And that's what I'm worried about. I think there is a chance Dart ends up being really good. Like, you know, I was not super high on Bo Nix, but he landed in a great situation and he outplayed by far what I thought he would be. And, you know, me and Copa on that, but he landed in a really good situation, I think, for him. And he was better than I thought. That doesn't necessarily mean Dart is going to do the same thing, but I'm open to the idea that Dart is going to be a lot better than I think. But it is just a huge projection because I don't think we saw a ton of, I heard somebody say it's like NFL quarterbacking type things at Ole Miss. It's just, you know, it's like he's dropping his eyes in the face of pressure and running when he doesn't have the first read. I thought there was some inaccuracy issues at times, and I don't know. I just didn't come away super confident that this was a guy to like take a bet on, trade up into the first round to take a bet on.
And again, my tattoo for this offseason was to be more humble about quarterbacks.
Sure, yeah.
And in a world where Bryce Young was benched for Andy Dalton and then outplayed CJ Stroud when he came back, I'm trying to be more Baker Mayfield.
Totally.
And Geno Smith is a starting quarterback. Baker Mayfield's a starting quarterback. Like all these guys we gave up on are good. No one's development's linear. Jaxson Dart could be awesome. Lamar Jackson went 32nd in the draft. Like the Ravens took a tight end before they took Lamar, and he was going to win like 3 MVPs. Like no one knows anything. I'm the moron sitting here dressed like Adam Schefter with the fucking hoodie over it. Like
He's
clearly
dressed
don't know
like
what
you, but yeah.
Yeah, no, sorry. Adam Schefter dressed like me.
Yeah.
So part of me understands I don't know what's going to happen. And maybe Jaxson Dart will be a good quarterback. But my suspicion within that is, here's the thing though. I think about the Breaking Bad line, like no half measures, Walter. Mm-hmm. The Giants feel like they've taken a half measure on their leadership, where they're like, don't really know if they believe in these guys, but they feel they owe it to them because I think that ownership wanted to extend Daniel Jones. And so they kept Joe Shane, keep Ryan Dable. So they're half measure on the leadership. And now the leadership is half measure in on Jaxson Dart because they don't think he's good enough to take a 3, but they'll trade up for him later in the first round. And so you kind of have like a quarter of a plan. And that seems like a weird thing to bet on.
Is it weird that he's going to be like the third guy? Like if Russ starts and then gets hurt, who comes in? Is it Jameis? Is like how many reps is he going to be getting in practice? Like
how many picks does he get before they pull him out? You know what I mean?
I think it's weird that there's going to be like 2 guys ahead of him. I don't know. The whole thing, I get Kenny Pickett flashbacks, to be honest. Like I feel like the Giants just did a Kenny Pickett, and it's all timing, and it sucks because if you guys had the 3rd pick last year, you get Drake May, and if you have the 3rd pick next year, you might get Arch Manning, and that's kind of just the nature of the NFL.
You say that, but it's like the Patriots had the 1st pick at the end of the year, and they couldn't even tank successfully. Like it's not easy to just
No. I'm more just saying a lot of this is like luck, and unfortunately, a lot of this is just like, do you have a top 3 pick when the quarterback class is good? You guys didn't. You felt like you had to make a move, and you end up trading up for a quarterback who didn't deserve to be taken in the first round.
So we can move on, but overall, I just think Shedeur is going to have a better career. So we'll see. So if Shedeur didn't get taken, Craig, how did you feel that the Steelers didn't take a quarterback at 21?
I was elated. Thank you, Steelers. You did the smart, sensible thing. I don't know who's going to be the quarterback, but I didn't want it to be Shedeur. We got a D tackle. We got Derek Harmon out of Oregon. I'm thrilled. I wanted any D tackle, and we got one. And I didn't want to be shackled to the Shedeur Sanders train for 2 to 3 years. I don't know what the hell's going to happen, Kirk Cousins or Aaron Rodgers, whatever. But at least I know that like next year, once again, we can figure it out again. And I'm much more confident next year than this year in terms of the quarterbacks. So I'm thrilled.
It's like renting or buying in a bad neighborhood or something like that. Like you have flexibility. You don't have to worry about it. It's just temporary.
No.
And also the Steelers taking Derek Harmon, the defensive tackle out of Oregon. I still think at the end of the day, the Ravens ran for 299 yards on the Steelers in the playoffs, and teams don't forget that shit.
Yeah. I mean, you have Alex Highsmith, you have Cam Hayward, you have Derek Harmon, you have Keanu Benton, you have TJ Watt. I mean, it's pretty solid. And again, I think the Steelers,
so Steelersy.
They learned from the Kenny Pickett thing. Like this would have just been Kenny Pickett all over again. It was basically the exact same pick. Once again, reaching for a quarterback in the first round when you know he's probably not the guy, but you do it because you're desperate. And I'm glad that we learned from our mistakes and didn't do it again.
So we have a lot of time to figure out where Shedeur Sanders is going to go. I feel like that's going to be the entire theme of tomorrow's episode. So anything else on the Giants and the quarterbacks and Dart? And the Giants got Abdul Carter.
I was going to say the nice thing is, and I mentioned this in my report, but it's like at least they did the smart thing and did take Abdul Carter. Like I give them credit for not panicking and not taking a quarterback at number 3. You know what I mean?
I don't give them credit for that.
I do. Some teams are like get into that such desperation mode that they take any quarterback that's there. I think it was good that they took a blue chip player at a premium position before doing this. That doesn't mean I like what they did, but at least they did the smart thing the first time.
Okay. DK, what grade did you give Dart?
I think a C-.
Sick. The only thing I'll say about Abdul Carter is he said to Mike Renner and Bleacher Report on their live stream that he wanted to wear 56 for Lawrence Taylor, kind of, which is retired, I believe, but like the same way that, or unofficially retired, but the same way that Penn State 11 goes to the best player. That would be sick, and I want that to happen, and Abdul Carter should get 56. And it should be a tradition that the best pass rusher gets 56 on the team. So, moving on. Honestly, the biggest thing that happened tonight, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, right.
Trading up for Travis. DK's like, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
so long ago.
That was weird.
The Jaguars traded up for Travis Hunter, Doogie Howser, the 34-year-old GM of the Jacksonville Jaguars. The biggest balls at the table.
Just taking his balls out and slapping them on the table. First chance he gets.
The trade, dude, he said it as post. So wait, the whole trade, I have to read this before we keep going. The Browns sent the 5th pick. The Browns the Browns had the 2nd pick. Jaguars had the 5th. I keep saying the Rams because he worked for the Rams. The Jaguars sent the 5th pick, the 36th pick, so their 2nd rounder, and a 4th rounder, and the Jaguars' 1st rounder next year, just to move up 3 picks, and they got a 4th rounder back.
Yeah, the Browns basically moved back 3 spots to get the 36th pick and a 2026 first.
And it's the equivalent, if you use shout out Brad Spielberger and Jason Fitzgerald have basically a draft chart converter that accounts for the salary cap and what the picks are worth generally. And it was the equivalent of giving up the 8th pick basically, or something, a crazy haul for the Browns just to go up and take Travis Hunter. DK, what was I have so many thoughts on this. What is your reaction to this trade for Travis Hunter going to the Jaguars?
My immediate reaction was in almost every scenario, I would probably be dragging the Jags for giving up that an atrocious amount to move up 3 spots. But at the end of the day, the rule of cool nullifies all normal, the normal calculus of how you would decide what a fair trade is, because he plays 2 positions. We don't have any thing to compare this to previously. This is an unprecedented type of player, almost not literally, but in our generation, unprecedented style player. What we heard, Schefter said immediately after they made the pick that they're planning on playing him primarily on offense and then kind of moonlighting him on defense as they kind of work it in. I don't know exactly how it's going to end up playing out, but they have a big-time playmaker, a ball hawk on defense, a ball winner, and elite athlete on offense. It's super sexy to imagine what he can do with Brian Thomas Jr. and Trevor Lawrence. There's just it's so cool. It's so cool that I almost just don't care about the normal status quo of how you would judge a trade like this, because it just doesn't apply, because he's a two position player. It's just so weird.
James Gladstone, who I was going to call Doogie Howser all year because he's a 34-year-old running a team who looks like he's 22. And yet I now will call him James Gladstone because he's earned my respect.
It's the fuck them picks thing.
He said
this is what the Rams did.
Yeah, he said, I've got some familiarity with the, dem picks thing. Yeah, referencing fuck them picks. Yeah. But I actually think it's interesting because on one hand, I know this is dumb to say, and I know I keep yelling from the rooftops that I think Travis Hunter is going to play 2 positions. All these trade value charts never accounted for a player that would be 2 picks.
Right.
So the Jaguars are looking at this as, if Travis Hunter's a great receiver and a great cornerback, you're getting the value back and the money you're saving and the picks. So they're looking at it as they're looking at it as they broke the trade value charts because he's playing 2, you're getting 2 picks with 1 player. Right. And that's why I think the Browns charge them so much. I think that's why Andrew Berry was talking up Travis Hunter so much at the combine, saying Travis Hunter could play. Yeah, because that's why Berry was talking about it, because he's an energy vampire. And I think Andrew Berry, the Browns GM, was saying, we're going to charge you this is 2 picks because you're getting 2 players. And the Jaguars were the team who were like, yeah, we will do that.
Yeah, this is what I said in my take purge, that the Browns should get out of this because the hype will never be higher and you can get a huge haul, and they totally did. And Gladstone, it feels like, I don't know. I think if you squint and don't think about it, this is cool, right? Like we just did,
Craig.
We just did the live show and it was the dickhead mock draft. Right? I was like thinking with your dick versus thinking with your brain. If you think about this with your brain, you're like, I don't know. But if you think about it with your dick, you're like, this is so cool.
If you
like
think
Brian
with your
Thomas,
dick, this is the biggest dick trade since like Ricky Williams in 1999.
I mean, Gladstone basically like is the guy, like the trope in movies where like you go to prison and you just punch the biggest guy in the face that you can find. And Gladstone just like walked in and put his dick on the table and was like, what are you guys going to say
Come
now?
at me.
Yeah. You're going to say I look like a kid
I'm not
now?
trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me.
Yeah. And so, it's kind of cool. It's like the Jags are, there's now already feels like there is an identity in Jacksonville, right? It's like you have Liam Cohen, you have Gladstone, you have Trevor Lawrence, Hunter, and Thomas. Like this is going to be like a high octane offense. They're going for it. They don't care. Fuck them picks. It feels like they have something going, which I respect. Just don't think about what they gave up.
Well, Craig, as you like to put it, think about those other picks. They're probably going to be bad picks anyway. So yeah, I would trade. I would trade multiple bad players for the chance to have Travis Hunter on my team.
Maybe. No, I don't know if it's quite the same because the Jags could very realistically have a top 5 pick next year, and the Steelers are like the definition of. My point was like the Steelers just have the 23rd pick every year. It's not.
And the irony too is that
That's
that's a good distinction because the irony is that you know what the Jaguars really needed? A receiver and a cornerback. Like as much as almost any team. The Jaguars have needed a cornerback for like 7 years.
It's cool. Like I actually think I'm also
sick.
just thrilled Travis Hunter's not on the Browns.
Dude,
you know what I mean?
I was going to say, this is so much better for the NFL.
It is.
Like the NFL, Travis Hunter not being in Cleveland is sneakily like the happiest person is Roger Goodell.
Totally.
Because that was the worst place Travis Hunter could have gone.
Dude,
it's like, he's going to have to meet Deshaun Watson. Are you kidding me?
We dodged 2 bullets as NFL fans. Ashton Jeanty and Travis Hunter not going to the Browns. My God.
Yeah,
we're
that
so
really
lucky
is
for
huge.
that. We had 2 opportunities. It's like, oh God, it's going to be Travis Hunter. Then we thought it was going to be Ashton Jeanty. So thank God.
Craig's Neo out here. You're like dodging.
Yeah.
Whoa. Browns.
Giants gonna
Browns
call it.
again.
I like this from the Jags, but I think the Browns also, to your point, Craig, you nailed it. I didn't think when you said Browns could trade out of this, I didn't think they could get this a future first to move up back 3 spots. The Browns,
because people were watching the Take Purge and listening to you say that he's going to be the greatest player of all time.
So you're welcome. Doogie Howser owes me because Andrew Barry.
Did he know that it was Take Purge?
Yeah. No, maybe he didn't know. Maybe he skipped the intro. He was trying to, he just skipped the intro.
He just saw the social clip. He didn't have context.
Put a disclaimer on there.
So the Browns, though, adding a 2nd round pick, adding a future 1st round pick, that to Craig's point, the Jags could still suck and like get a top 10 pick next year. And the Browns still walking away with Mason Graham at defensive tackle to pair with Myles Garrett. That is excellent business.
And then they have the first pick of the 2nd round, so they could just take Shedeur right there.
They also could just trade out of it
or whatever.
too.
Yeah.
Like they could still add more picks. Like, yeah. So
can I ask one question? So when the Browns re-signed Myles Garrett, there was an understanding. It was reported that there was some conversation that was had between the Browns front office and Myles Garrett, assuring him that the quarterback situation would be all right. What the fuck did they tell him?
There's still speculation that Kirk Cousins could end up being a Brown.
All right.
I kind of do think it'll be Kirk.
It literally has to be. I mean, there's no way they were like, don't worry, we're going to wait till the 2nd and then draft Shedeur Sanders.
It's going to be
What
great.
Steelers fan is throwing stones at other people's quarterback plans? What are you going to do with Rodgers now? You're just going to sign Rodgers? Like he's got you.
Yeah, we're going to sign Rodgers.
Sign Rodgers.
It's probably Occam's razor, Craig. They gave him $40 million a year, and he was like, all right, fine, I'll stay.
It didn't really. He wasn't. That's the plot twist. He wasn't listening to anything they said.
Wait, what'd you say? $40 million?
He just saw the number and it just started dying.
All right, that's fine. Whatever.
Cool. Okay. Anything else on the Travis Hunter? I just gotta say before we go with Travis Hunter, the pink suit was unbelievable. The vibe was impeccable. I've never been more confident.
He was like dancing beforehand, doing all this stuff,
so
just like basically holding court up there. The most charismatic person ever.
Once again,
pretty incredible.
If I asked you which of these Colorado football players was Deion Sanders' son,
right?
Yeah,
once again, I'm telling you, you would think it was Travis Hunter.
Yeah, it's cool. Lawrence Thomas and Hunter is an awesome trio.
Yeah, the Browns got Mason Graham. And then that allowed the Raiders at number 6 to take Ashton Jeanty, the Boise State running back, who's like, God's gift to earth, basically.
Thinking with their dick once again.
DK, yeah. DK again. So if you want to see your team's grades, DK graded all the team's picks at NFLDraft.theRaider.com. What did you give this, DK, for Ashton Jeanty?
Let's see here. I gave it.
I like you don't remember.
A++. What'd you do?
Where am I? I gave it a B. Purely. positional value, longevity. This isn't going to be probably like a 10-year starter for the team.
Oh,
that's something that you have to take into
it's
account
the draft.
with a running back.
Just grade inflate.
We've been waiting for 3 months for this.
Cool, not quite to the level of rule of cool, but it's very cool that Pete Carroll sees him as basically his new Marshawn Lynch, the soul of the offense, the engine of the offense, the guy that's going to help them assume an identity of toughness. Like Pete Carroll always talks about completing the circle of toughness. Offense, defense, special teams. You got to be really tough on offense, defense, special teams. You complete the circle of toughness. You can't have
circle of toughness, fucker.
Yeah, you can't be tough on two things. You have to be on all three of them. You can't have
a triangle.
You can't have a triangle. You got to have a circle.
Okay.
But anyways, I think Pete Carroll back when he was with the Seahawks, he hounded John Schneider for months and months and months to call the Bills. They called the Bills, according to the stories, like 50 times, just basically badgering them to give them Marshawn Lynch, like over the course of, I don't know what it was, 6 months or something. And then finally Carroll one more time was like, okay, can you call them back again, please? Like, get them to give us Marshawn Lynch. And then Marshawn Lynch came in and did the Beastquake in their first playoff game as coach of the Seahawks, like one of the greatest runs of all time to win and beat the defending champion Saints. So like, this was why I was kind of always thinking maybe Carroll will actually do this, because he believes in this so much, having that identity, having the physicality, the way that the offensive line feeds off of it, the way the defense feeds off of it. It's so important to him. He's not a type of guy who's going to look at some value chart and like look at the contract and how long this player is going to be on our team. He doesn't give a shit about that. Clearly, he just wants a guy like Jeanty who can, basically be the avatar of their offense, the toughness, the physicality, the creation, the grit, the strain, all that stuff. Like, it's so important to Pete Carroll. Sorry, I've listened to Pete Carroll talk for 14 years. I just know all his messaging. So like, it gets me going, because I
like
do
an
think
apostle.
Even like, look, I still believe in the idea that like running backs are a bad value early on, but with Jeanty, I think he's special enough. And I think with Pete Carroll in particular, with the way that with how he views that position and that player, I mean, it does make a lot of sense.
I mean, it's once again, it's thinking with your dick versus thinking with your brain. And like, if you just want to think with your dick for a second, the vibe, we've talked about the vibe shift in Vegas. It continues.
Jeanty in a Raiders uniform too.
Oh, top 3 uniform.
It's going to be so cool. Dude, 3 months ago, it was Antonio Pierce, Luke Getsy calling plays, Tom Telesco GM, Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew at quarterback, and Samir White at running back. 3 months later, it's Pete Carroll, Chip Kelly calling plays, Tom Brady in the front office, Geno Smith's your quarterback, Ashton Jeanty's your running back, and you have maybe the best tight end in the league.
One of the best glow-ups. One of the best glow-ups ever.
It's actually insane. I totally agree, Craig. And also, the other crazy thing is, if you just looked, who are the 6 best college football players in the last 3 seasons? Because I would say the Raiders have 2 of the 6 now. Yeah. Because I would say Brock Bowers at tight end and Ashton Jeanty at running back are 2 of the best 6 college football players in the last 3 years. And the Raiders have 2 of those guys on offense now. That's insane.
And it's like, everybody wants the offensive line. That's cool. You know what? The Raiders have the 5th pick of the 2nd round. Take an offensive lineman then.
I know, yeah. And I will say on that note, in case, I know for a lot of people, maybe this is the first time you're listening to the show on draft night. Ashton Jeanty led almost broke the college football single season rushing record. Barry Sanders had fewer games, but whatever. The 2nd leading rusher in college football this season was Ashton Jeanty after contact. Literally more than every rusher in college football after contact. And my favorite of all the Ashton Jeanty stats, he had 1,000 rushing yards before he had 100 carries this season, which is just preposterous. And the ultimate, the tape matches the stats. Like, the eye test matches the stat test. Of you watch him and you're like, oh, this is like the best tackle breaker I've ever seen. And you look up the numbers, like, well, best tackle breaker they've ever recorded. Cool. So just awesome. And then Jeanty to the Raiders led to Ted McMillan going to the Carolina Panthers.
It kind of flew under the radar a little bit tonight, I feel like.
It did. On the Chicago live show we did on Tuesday night, we had a bit, basically like the Dart Kermit meme of like as Craig said, like the dickhead mock draft. You're thinking with your brain, thinking with your dick, and your dick is kind of like the horrible influence devil on your shoulder, like, do it. And the Panthers are the epitome of this, Carolina literally allowed the most points in NFL history last season, and they were like, more offense.
Yeah. A lot of horny teams in the first 10 picks.
DK, what did you...
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
No, you gave the Panthers an A+.
Yes. And I think I understand completely. And I really do the idea that the Panthers need to like improve their defense. That is an important thing. But is there anything more important than Bryce Young's development? If Bryce Young doesn't sort of continue the development arc that he showed in the second half of last year, the Panthers are fucked, like completely fucked, because they will have lost so much opportunity cost in making that trade and taking Bryce Young. It's going to take them like 10 years to rebuild their fucking roster. Bryce Young needs to be good for them to ever compete anytime soon. And so I understand that you need to take defense at some point. And I'm sure they will in this draft, like add a bunch of defensive guys. But Ted McMillan, I think, is a great addition for this offense. He's a big target, big catch radius, run after the catch. This is exactly what this team needs, like a number one receiver who is going to give them a go-to guy in key situations. Xavier Legette, not that guy. Adam Thielen, he's almost retired at this point.
Jalen
Coker was like an exciting slot receiver that they got, I think, in undrafted free agency, but they needed a guy, like a go-to guy, and I think this is a really smart pick for them. And of course, I like Ted McMillan a lot more than some people did in the industry, but I don't know. I just really liked it. I think the most important thing you can possibly do if you're the Panthers is help Bryce Young continue his development.
I totally agree. I mean, like the defense was terrible, but I think they had the receivers you just listed. It's probably the worst receiving group in the league, and even like their tight ends are Tommy Tremble.
Also, we don't know that Legette's good. Legette might be nothing.
Legette might be nothing. Jalen Coker, sure. Adam Thielen's 35. Their tight ends, they have Jatavian Sanders and Tommy Tremble. Like there was nobody for him to throw to. So it's like, even if the defense is bad, I totally agree, DK. The receivers were just as bad as the defense.
And also,
and the running back they took tore his ACL again.
Yeah.
Jonathan Brooks. Okay,
Jonathan nothing for Bryce.
Jonathan Brooks, honestly, hopefully is just healthy for the final year of his rookie contract. Like he's probably cool.
I mean, I think, and Craig, to piggyback on what you're saying, like Liga, I think he's exciting. He's a really good athlete. He was like my 80-something ranked player, and they took him in the first round last year. So obviously, I'm not just like, liking whatever the Panthers do. I just think this pick in particular makes a ton of sense. You build a receiver room like you build your basketball team, right? Like Ted McMillan is what they needed. They need a go-to guy, a guy that can get them a first down, get them a touchdown when they need it. So I'm just really excited about that.
Speaking of which, the Bears took Colston Loveland, the tight end in Michigan, over Tyler Warren.
Very interesting, yeah.
The tight end at Penn State. DK, were you surprised by that?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, there's definitely a lot of Colston Loveland smoke the last week or two, or a lot of people really like him and like him more than Tyler Warren. I think stylistically, they're very different players. Loveland is more of like a traditional receiving tight end in the sense that he can get up the seams, he can separate, he has a little bit more juice, like vertically going down the field. And like you said, Heifetz, like you pointed out over the last few weeks, like I think he's a little bit more nuanced and technical as a blocker than Tyler Warren is right now. I think Tyler Warren is more raw in the sense that he's not a great blocker yet. And he was utilized much more in sort of like the short and intermediate areas than Loveland, who was like running up the seam. So I think Tyler Warren is like way more dynamic athlete in terms of run after the catch, break tackles, run through a dude's face. Colston Loveland was not breaking very many tackles, doesn't offer a ton after the catch, but he's just a big, smooth, good route runner. A lot of people compare him to like a Sam Laporta, and obviously this makes a ton of sense. They were doing this before the draft, and now it makes a ton of sense that Ben Johnson gets his new version of Sam Laporta.
Ben Johnson was the coordinator for the Lions, and
right.
now he's the head coach for the Bears, and they had Sam Laporta in Detroit. And I want to shout out Nate Tice, who was kind of on the Colston Loveland will go over Tyler Warren thing like a month ago. Nate was on top of that, and basically a line from a great article he wrote at Yahoo that I recommend was basically, in a weird way, Colston Loveland having a more traditional skill set in college makes him a more versatile player early in the NFL, just because Tyler Warren almost has the jack of all trades. Like when he got drafted, they threw up the little graphic of everywhere Tyler Warren lined up in college, and it was like 1,100 snaps at tight end, traditional, 500 snaps at receiver, like 300 in the backfield or something. And it was kind of like, but if you're not good enough to line up and block a tight end, then what are we going to have you on the field for? And I think that's kind of not the concern. I mean, he still went 14th. Also, this was still the first draft in 30 years where two tight ends went in the top 15 anyway. So it's not like Tyler Warren's bad or anything.
Right.
But Bears with Tyler Warren, Roman Dunze, DJ Morris. Caleb Williams better be good.
Off the dome, or just my first reaction is I think Loveland is a really fun fit for Caleb Williams. Because Caleb Williams isn't really, and I think Tyler Warren landed in a good situation too for his skill set. Because
did he?
Yes, because Warren, and I've been telling you guys this the whole time. I said this. Tyler Warren reminds me of Dallas Goedert, the way the Eagles use Dallas Goedert, where you're going to get him heavily involved in the screen game, run after the catch, create yards on your own. You never know where they're going to get him involved in the screen game. Middle screens, like screens out on the edge. They can even put him in the backfield where they have Anthony Richardson, Jonathan Taylor, and Tyler Warren doing God knows what in the red zone. It's going to be really fun.
Wait, do I say skied it at you on Blue Sky? That seems horrific.
Yes.
Someone skied it at you on Blue Sky that Tyler Warren is perfect for the Colts because he can play quarterback when Anthony Richardson's tired.
They're just getting as many people as they can who can throw the ball instead of Anthony Richardson.
Dude, it's so good. When he taps out, they just put Tyler Warren back there.
Exactly. And Anthony's gassed.
And all Anthony needs to do is just throw screen passes now. This is the dream.
And that's why they got Tyler Warren. He's so big. Richardson can't miss Tyler Warren from that close.
Yeah.
Right. So Tyler Warren lands in a system that's run by Shane Steichen, who, comes from the Eagle system and everything. And I think that, you guys always kind of get the ick when I say Dallas Goedert. I think he's a souped up version, a better version of Dallas Goedert. I don't look at Dallas Goedert as a pejorative, for the record. I really actually think he's a good player. He's just been hurt a lot lately. But Warren, he's going to be in a situation where getting the ball out quickly, Anthony Richardson, get him some layups, help him out, run after the catch, create on your own. Like, that's only going to be good for him. I don't know if he's going to be as productive as we were hoping he would be, but just because now he's attached to a player who currently is a bad quarterback. But with Loveland, it's the opposite, where Caleb Williams is holding on to the ball. He likes to attack vertically. He likes to go for the big play. He likes to throw the ball up to a guy, let him make a play on the back shoulder. Loveland's really good at all that stuff. And so I think actually fit-wise, now that I'm thinking about it more, that it definitely does make a lot of sense.
It does. I see what you're saying. It makes a ton of sense that Tyler Warren would. And you know why Dallas Goedert such an ick? It's because he hasn't scored 5 touchdowns in a season in 6 years. And I think that what you're saying
it's a bad example because
he's on Jalen Hurts' team.
Well, that's the thing,
upside,
though. What if he did score touchdowns and was also a better receiver anyway? That's what you're saying about Tyler Warren. Where you're right, because honestly, Dallas Goedert had 2 touchdowns all last season. I think there's a world, to your point, where Tyler Warren has 2 touchdowns in week 1.
I don't use the Goddard example as like, here's how productive he's going to be exactly. It's just like stylistically, Goddard has always been, and going back through the years, always been really high on the ranks in terms of yards after the catch and screen games and just the way that they utilize him in that offense. So I don't know. That's why I always kind of picture what Tyler Warren can do, but I think he's a more physical, better athlete who is more elusive after the catch. So there's a lot more to him than just what Dallas Goedert is now, but I think just like the way that they utilize him.
Okay. We did Craig's 1.0 mock on Wednesday.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, so Craig, you had the Packers getting a receiver in the first round, which I thought was like, oh, they'll never do that. And then Mark Murphy walks out on the stage in Green Bay and is like, we took a receiver, bitches. And then everyone went nuts.
The Matthew Golden entrance after getting picked.
Pretty epic.
Sick. So sick. It was like one of the all-time cool moments of the draft that I can remember, honestly. They were doing like the Go Pack Go chant for a solid 3 minutes, maybe. It was crazy. It was like a reliever walking in the 9th inning. You know what I mean? Like Matthew Golden just walking so slowly.
It took forever.
I was like,
so
this is
nervous.
fucking rad. I was like actually really hyped up for that moment. It was cool.
He looked so nervous in the hallway. And then Matthew Golden, the receiver at Texas, comes out on the stage and he's like, he grabs the mic. That was awesome. That was really cool.
Cool moment. Yeah.
Kind of an awesome pick too. It's kind of funny because now the Packers they went from having one number 1 receiver with Devontae Adams and 5 number 4s, and now they just have like 5 guys who should be a number 2 receiver.
I know I gave them kind of a poor grade because of that. Heifetz, like the first time they take a receiver in the first round since 2002, and you gave them this was the guy they took. Because it just does. It's not that I dislike the player. I just think it's a strange pick because now they have, like you said, 4 or 5 number 2 receivers: Jaden Reed, Dubs, Wicks, and Watson, who is hurt. But it's like they need a number 1, and that's what Josh Jacobs was saying. They need a number 1 the whole time. This whole pre-draft process. Maybe Matthew Golden ends up being a very good number 1. I'm not ruling that out. But I think this whole process we've been kind of saying. Matthew Golden, great complimentary piece. Looks like a really good number 2, a Z receiver who can kind of move around the formation. That's why we liked him for the Cowboys, or I did anyway, because he's going to line up sort of opposite CeeDee Lamb and do his thing. But now, based on this pick, are they expecting him to be a true number one receiver?
Well, I think that, but the Matt LaFleur is the one, the head coach of the Packers, is the one who's like, I vomit.
Makes me want to puke.
Makes me want. You said that. It makes me want to puke. But it's like his whole thing is he wants to be able to move everyone around and go to do that. Honestly, the Packers have the It's Always Sunny cats in the wall thing going at receiver. It's like,
you love the cats in the wall bit. I don't think. Well, that should be the jar, is the cats in the wall bit for Heifetz, I think.
No, the jar, someone emailed in. The jar, Craig's Warriors, DK, for me, it should be just mentioning Jackie. Every time I mention Jackie, that should be the jar.
Oh, but that's sweet, though.
Yeah, that's nice.
Well, so is It's Always Sunny. But no, the It's Always Sunny, like cats in the wall, just like, oh, yeah. I'm thinking a third.
I just
Maybe
feel like
fourth.
they're sick of this crew. Yeah. It's like, all right, we know our ceiling with these guys, with Wicks and Watson, and it's like, we got to take another bite at this apple.
And I thought Packers were going to go defense because of pass rusher cornerback. The other team that did something very similar is Tampa Bay, where you're like, well, they're going to go pass rusher, right? They're probably going to. And then they had Ibuka out of Ohio State.
That was also kind of puzzling to me.
Man, everyone's comping Ibuka to Chris Godwin kind of before the season. And then the Bucs, Chris Godwin's hurt, as a season-ending ankle injury. The Bucs convinced Chris Godwin to come back from the Pats, make Chris Godwin a Godfather offer in free agency. The Bucs are like, we'll give you $22-24 million a year, so I can come back to Tampa Bay. Then the Bucs draft Ibuka, presumably, to be like at least some kind of Chris Godwin, if not a compliment, maybe a replacement one day.
But they also had Jalen McMillan from last year.
Who was good. They have Jalen McMillan, Mike Evans. But here's the thing. I think this is, to me, the example of like the true example of what best player available looks like. Where it's like, they're like, yeah, we have a bunch of these guys, but like, we love this guy. And like, I got to tell you, I think that's good process because I don't know, it makes sense.
I agree. This feels like you're getting ahead of things. Like you kind of know what's coming. Mike Evans is like in his early 30s now. Godwin, the injury. Things can get dicey quick, and having Ibuka in kind of fills any holes that are potentially coming, I feel like, for Tampa.
Yeah. I mean, I love Ibuka, and I think he has a really high floor. I just was like a little puzzled. I was like, okay, so what's the plan on how to rotate these guys?
I think
Not
like
that it really matters, but I was a little
smart.
confused.
I think next year it could look really smart that Ibuka's on the team.
If the worst thing that happens is the Bucs have 4 awesome receivers, it's a pretty good problem.
That's true. That's true.
But I think, I think that honestly what I think it is Tampa Bay understands how valuable it is to have Chris Godwin, to have a receiver that not only isn't some receivers are assholes. And I think that Tampa Bay understands, you know how incredible it is when the wide receiver on your team, like Chris Godwin, is actually like Mike Evans is a captain on Tampa Bay. Like Chris Godwin's like a leader. Like I think when you have the receivers setting the tone of selflessness, I think it says something. And I think that Bucs, maybe they know the value of that more than anyone.
Maybe Ibuka will end up being the Buccaneers' all-time leading receiver and never be the best receiver on his team.
He'll never be better than Mike Evans or Chris Godwin, but he'll lead Tampa Bay.
Just like he did in college. Yeah.
So some teams taking Bucs, Packers took a bunch of stuff they already needed. Then you have the stuff they already had. Then you have the Atlanta Falcons, who I have been saying should draft a pass rusher for 5 or 6, 7 years.
So everybody's been saying it.
Everyone's been saying it. Oh no, I'm the only. No, as far as I'm the only.
You had that corner.
I wore this outfit today, and then Adam Schefter copied me, and I said the Falcons should take a pass rusher. No one else noticed, but they take Jalen Walker, the pass rusher to Georgia.
Love that pick.
15th.
Yeah.
Then they trade back into the first round after the Giants did with the Rams.
Hell yeah.
So Raheem Morris, the coach of the Falcons, trading back with his old team, the Rams, because he worked for Sean McVay. And the Falcons give up their first round pick next year, which again, usually only happens if you want a quarterback or if the Jags are going to get Travis Hunter to play 2 positions. And they take James Pierce Jr., a very promising pass rusher to Tennessee. So on one hand, I'm like, I did tell you to get a pass rusher and you got 2, but holy shit, the Falcons gave up a first round pick to go and get an edge rusher.
Do you ever have like a fantasy draft where you are going through the draft and then you make a pick and then you're like, oh shit, I already picked a quarterback or whatever it is. Like I'm like, I didn't need that guy. And you look back on your draft. You mean
kind of like the Falcons last year when they signed Kirk Cousins and then drafted Michael Penix?
It's like they have object permanence. Like they don't know anyone else on their team if they're looking at one guy.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, from Sandlot. They just do everything twice. They're like, they got the surf and turf. Like, I'll get steak and lobster. Fuck it. I think it's kind of cool. I don't know. Like,
yeah, but they paid way too much to trade back up into the first round.
I think it's also funny that they're doing what the Rams did last year, where they're adding 2 players at one position. Like the Rams tried to replace Aaron Donald, the aggregate, and they got like these 2 teammates that had this whole thought process that they would work together. And then the Falcons, who came from the Rams, were just like, Yeah, let's do something like that. And then got these two totally unrelated players to play pass rusher as if those two guys would just work. And it's just funny that they did the trade with the Rams.
Also, if you look at that scale, the Fitzgerald-Spielberger scale, this trade up was the least egregious according to that scale compared to what the Giants did and what the Jags did.
Because they moved from 46 to 20. I think that's bullshit, though.
This is not me defending what the Giants did. The Jags thing was a really
you just like that because you think Travis Hunter's
move.
cool.
Yeah,
No,
and it's
well,
taking and it was for what we believe is a generational, probably two position player. Whereas Pierce was not in my first round on my board.
But a lot of people think at least on the broadcast, they were saying that a lot of people think that, look, the people I'm listening to, the people I'm hearing.
Yeah, the people, the inside,
Right.
you're the insider listening to the insiders.
My guys who are pretty plugged in, let's just say that. The guys that I'm listening to know a lot of people, and they're saying that James Pierce physically has the potential to be one of the best pass rushers in this class.
I think the difference is the chart is a guideline, like Pirates of the Caribbean, like there's no rules. And again, what we're talking about, the trade charts are like, Jimmy Johnson literally just came up with a random system he had where he has some accountant to just make a system of what are all the picks worth and just to have a system of how to trade. So like the value of these picks, when you have like all the swaps and everything, how do you actually calculate that? And then everyone used that for 30 years and they were like, why are we just using this one thing that Jimmy Johnson invented 30 years ago? So then they actually started like factoring in the salary cap and how much the picks get paid and what the positions are worth and how good they usually are and historical value to the picks and everything. It's much more scientific now. The difference is you have to kind of tweak it mentally to the actual draft of that specific year. So for example, the Travis Hunter trade up is more expensive because one, he's part of the 3-person tier at the top of truly great players and he plays 2 positions. So it's more expensive. There's also always a quarterback tax. If you're coming up for quarterback and the team knows it, you're going to pay more. Like they're just going to charge you more. It's just an accepted fact. The weird part of the James Pierce thing is the Falcons gave up a first to move up the 20 spots. That's what they're paying for because the Rams went from 26 to 46. But that's kind of the same tier to a lot of teams. We've talking for like 2 months that the 10th player and the 40th player is more or less the same. Like the Rams are kind of still in the same tier. And I think that's how they're looking at it is they picked up a first round pick for someone that they don't necessarily will feel that different about. They also can use the first round pick to very, very, very easily move up and get like 5 picks and just get the guy they wanted anyway. Like they can go from 46 to 39 and get the guy they wanted at 26.
This must just, this probably just means that like the Falcons had James Pierce pretty high on their board and they wanted to pounce.
Well, yeah. Obviously. I think, but like also you can look at the trade value chart or whatever, but like we don't know what the Falcons pick is going to be in 2026. If that is a top 10 pick,
oh my God,
and they end up being really bad,
the playoffs,
that's a fucking valuable pick.
Yeah.
If the Falcons miss the playoffs, that's and oh my God. But yeah, it's and again, but the flip side,
top 15 pick. I mean, it's
but if James Pierce Jr. is good, the flip side though is if Pierce Jr. and Jalen Walker are good, and then the Falcons suddenly have like 7 first-round picks in offense and a pass rush, like that team could make a Super Bowl run. So I get
the Falcons. I think the big takeaway, I think, generally speaking, is just that the Falcons are a wild card. I mean, last year with Penix, and then this year with the trade back in, it's just like, man, they're
all over the place.
They're moving it around the board in a very haphazard, sort of just cavalier way. So it's weird.
I want to get to the some of the offensive linemen, and we were joking that offensive linemen are like the joke from Brian Regan? Who makes
Brian Regan? It's I saw a log truck going down the highway the other day, and then he passed another log truck going the other way, and I thought to myself, well, if they needed logs, and they needed logs, seems like a phone call could have saved a lot of trouble.
And if we're being honest, offensive linemen are just logs. Offensive linemen, a team gets there like,
just rotate, logs. Just give me some different logs.
Saints got Kelvin Banks, cool. Good log And so I want to just do the log, or good log. As Craig suggested, Bob Loblog's log blog.
Bob Loblog's log blog.
Bob Loblog's log blog of all the logs. Starting with DK, your Seattle Seahawks, who after 2 months of talking about how they wouldn't draft for need, then took Gray Zabel, who is an offensive lineman that they definitely needed. How do you feel about this?
Thank God they picked him. I think everybody in Seahawks land, or at least the people that I've talked to, are pretty happy with this pick. Maybe not super ecstatic or sexy or whatever, but he is a player that comes in and will be immediately like a starter, I think, and play a very important position of need for them. Their interior defense, or their interior offensive line is terrible and has been terrible for a long time. So I think this is kind of just one of those like hit it right down the fairway.
Where do you think
Zabel
Zabel plays? Does he play center after your center like retired in the middle?
Center
of
or
last season?
guard? Yeah, not sure, but I'm sure they'll play him at both probably early on and kind of trying to figure it out what he's best at. But he played center, he played guard and tackle in college, and then he played center at the Senior Bowl, and it was very impressive. One of them, like I think from reports, basically one of the most impressive offensive linemen at the Senior Bowl. So, I mean, I'm excited about the pick. It's one of those ones that's not super sexy, but I just desperately wanted them to take a offensive lineman.
Take a good player.
I think Heifetz, I talked about this on Rosillo the other day. Like, if the Seahawks don't take an offensive lineman, I'm going to be distraught. And they did. And so I'll give them credit. I'm happy that they did that.
Speaking of getting credit, Dallas Cowboys took Tyler Booker, the guard out of Alabama, which some people thought was a reach. And let me tell you something. If DK nailed what the definition of analytics is just trying to do, all analytics are just trying to pursue what do the fans who hate your team want you to not do. As a Giants fan, I was crushed that the Dallas Cowboys took Tyler Booker.
Really?
That's an awesome. I was distraught. I would have so much rather the Cowboys took Matthew Golden or someone like Dallas doubling. Dallas took all these offensive linemen 12 years ago, and it set them up for 10 years of being pretty good. And the idea that the Cowboys are still smart enough, and Jerry hasn't been locked in this Ocean's 11 vault yet, and Jerry still got it, and Jerry still knows Zach Martin retired, like, give me another guard that actually could play 12 years and go to the Hall of Fame. Also, more importantly, Tyler Booker, single happiest person to be drafted I've ever seen.
Seems like just a hell of a time, Tyler Booker. Just like a lovely, hilarious person.
I don't think I've ever used the term unbridled joy before, but that is what came to mind watching Tyler. He was doing spins in the hallway. He just was like prancing. This like 350-pound guy, or not 350, but like very heavy man.
Pretty close. 330?
330-pound man. Literally prancing, being like, I'm a cowboy. Like,
it's
I was
funny,
like, wow.
he was moving better than I expected because he was one of the worst testers of all time.
So
This Booker McFarland is saying he's not a good mover. And I'm like, he looks like he's great at moving, Booker. I don't know what you're talking about.
He was pretty light on his feet.
I like that you're still scouting till the last moment.
Hell yeah,
dude,
man.
yeah.
You gotta get your eyes on them in different situations.
Did you guys see when after he got drafted, he went on the Micah Parsons pod and he was like radioing in or whatever, and he was talking about how his greatest joy as a football player is when opposing players get all excited to play football and they love the game and they get out there and they're having a good time. And then Tyler Booker slowly drains the life from their eyes. And he loves watching the life from their eyes drain.
He said watching the
psycho
love.
Killer.
He says, I love watching people lose their love for football.
Yeah,
that's what he gets him off.
That's my favorite thing. And Micah Parsons was stoked.
Dude, that's the John Gruden thing when Gruden's like, you want, people always got dreams. You got to be a nightmare. Tyler Booker's like, I want your love for football. He's an energy vampire.
It's why
all the coolest players and like all the real sicko guys, they love playing on the road because they love shutting up opposing fans. You know what I mean?
Well, this is a couple things. Number one, this is what we were talking about a couple of weeks ago when Tyler Booker, he tested terribly. He was like bottom 5th percentile or whatever it was in so many of these tests. But at the same time, at like very same time, a bunch of people, including Tom McShay, were reporting that he had like some of the best interviews of any player in the draft.
I can see
during the combine. So like all that kind of checks out. Just obviously, and we were even joking. It's like, is this guy like the best hang or what? Is he super funny?
He clearly is the best hang.
Yeah.
But number two, Heifetz, you brought, or Craig, you actually mentioned it, but I heard the greatest line. I meant to talk to you guys about this because I thought it was just so great. MJD, Maurice Jones-Drew, was talking on the NFL Daily Pod like a week ago, and he was talking about TreVeyon Henderson, but I think just generally it's a great expression, great scouting term I wanted to bring up with you guys. He was talking about how TreVeyon Henderson knocks some football out of guys and how like that's what coaches just want, a guy who's going to knock some football out of you. And basically what that means is like, once you hit that person, they just don't have quite as much like desire to come back and come at you and like hit you again and get hit again. Just knock some football out of you. I think Booker is like the quintessential just knock some football out of guys.
When I was a freshman in high school, I was 5'2", about 110 pounds. And everybody who tried out for the freshman football team made the team. And I wanted to play because all my other friends played. And so I joined the team. And it's my mom's biggest regret as a parent was allowing me to play that 1 year. And I believe it was the first practice we did some like whatever Oklahoma drill, or I think it wasn't the Oklahoma. It was like something where you like turn around and face each other and then sprint towards one another. And
I think that's the Oklahoma.
Is that the Oklahoma? Are you turned around with the Oklahoma? Okay, I didn't.
It's like a showdown. Or
I can't remember because I was likely concussed. But Literally the first collision, I got knocked on my ass and I was like, I hate football and I never want to do this again. And I literally
knocked the football out of you.
I had the football knocked out of me. I came home limping. My mom's like, I was practicing. I was like, great. In my head, I was like, I never, ever want to go back.
Tyler Booker literally just does that every day.
Yeah.
That's how he feasts.
Just knock some football out of you.
I'm pissed that he's on the Cowboys. I don't want a guy Cowboy to be like that. That's a
very convincing argument. I didn't give this a great grade just because he's a guard only.
It's because you graded it before you saw him prance down the hallway.
I graded it before I heard that he likes to drain the life out of his opponents. Yeah.
He's an energy vampire. Complimentary. Other logs log from Bob Loblaw's log blog. The Jets took Armand Membu, the Missouri offensive tackle, right tackle, and honestly just board fell perfectly for the Jets. Quietly, Jets actually have a really good offensive setup now. I don't know how you feel about Justin Fields at quarterback. We got Garrett Wilson at receiver.
Dude, they're going to run the shit out of the ball this year.
Dude, Olu Fashanu at left tackle, Membu at right tackle. You have Elijah Vera-Tucker still. He was also a first rounder. That's 3 first rounders on your offensive line. And then you have Joe Tippmann, who is Ohio State, who is your center, who was a second round pick. I don't know if he's going to be good, but he was a second round pick. And then John Simpson, who,
what's his Madden rating again?
Not great awareness rating because, Brick Johnson loved the awareness rating. Did play well. Suddenly, that's actually a really good team, and just Justin Fields is there. Like, I don't want to say Justin Fields is set up well on the Jets, but Justin Fields kind of set up well on the Jets if the Jets get another receiver on this team. So
I know. I kind of like it.
Saints took Kelvin Banks Jr. out of Texas. I have nothing to say about this.
Yeah, it's like a perfectly fine pick.
He's like last year when they took Talise Fuaga. It's like he's a guard who the Saints have ranked as a tackle.
Yeah.
Cool.
He's another guy that had sort of like shorter than you'd want arms. So
it's very similar to last year. Yeah. And so, the Saints are just like, I guess we'll see what the Saints do at quarterback. And then, Austin text. I did see the Banks baby puke. Yeah, I wasn't sure we were going to talk about this. I think, I don't know whose baby was there on the couch. I don't know if it's Kelvin's baby or someone else's baby, but there was a baby and they were so excited that they kind of shook the baby.
Well, I don't know. I watched it. I don't know. Maybe I saw a different clip or whatever. I didn't think it was that egregious. Like she's just kind of bouncing the baby on her lap a little bit and the baby puked. That happens.
Yeah.
But people were saying like they were very egregiously shaking this baby. I didn't see it that way, but maybe I didn't see the right clip.
Also, I mean, a lot of people throw up on live TV that aren't babies, that are full-grown adults.
Tracy Morgan did it, sitting courtside at the Knicks game.
There you go. Get the baby tickets. Okay.
It's the way that babies puke is so funny. It's just they're just sitting there then every day, and then just like randomly, it's just like bet.
Dude, those are my favorite memes. Are like people sending pictures. Dude,
just like bet. Just
Jack
comes out.
We'll send pictures of the cat, and it's just like I threw up. Vikings took Donovan Jackson at Ohio State. I think this is literally
Great
just
pick.
Every now and then you have a draft pick that is directly like a through line to how they lost their last game.
Yeah.
And this is directly like, you saw the Rams kick the shit out of us in the playoffs. Like, we need Donovan Jackson.
Smart pick. He's the guy who came in and played left tackle after Josh Simmons went out last year. He's obviously bringing in a lot of versatility. And that's big for a team that needs to like protect JJ McCarthy this year, coming off of an injury. They really need him to play well. Just smart. I liked it a lot.
Another direct through line. The Chiefs taking Josh Simmons. Trading back with the Eagles. Dancing with the devil. I guess they just wanted to take this pick from the Eagles, but the Chiefs taking Josh Simmons at Ohio State. Just another direct through line. They're like, you see us get the shit kicked out of us in the Super Bowl. We need a lineman. I can't believe the Eagles did it again, though. Yep. The Eagles I comped Jihad Campbell to Zach Bond over and over, and then the fucking Eagles got him.
Every year. People are going to complain that I'm glazing the Eagles. I keep glazing the Eagles all the time. Howie Roseman, constant subject of glazing.
They gave up the
this is awesome. He was
pick.
He was my 11th overall player.
Yeah,
I think
11,
there are
11 on your big board.
There's some reports out there, and I don't have any first person knowledge of this, but like there were some reports that he's got some issues with his knee.
No, they said it on the broadcast. After Schefter said it once he got drafted. That Jihad Campbell got surgery on both shoulders, I think, and his knee.
So obviously this is one of those situations.
He has to still get surgery on one shoulder. He already had surgery on another shoulder, and he has a knee issue.
Yeah. So obviously, there's a reason that Campbell fell this far, but I don't know. I love this anyway. This is just a typical Eagles move. It's like grab the guy who's falling for one reason or another, and then plug him into your system, put him around a bunch of really good players, and let him thrive.
And it reminds me of like a couple years ago when the Eagles, it seemed like the Eagles were going to take Jalen Carter with the 10th pick. And if he wasn't there, they were going to take Nolan Smith out of Georgia, both Georgia guys. And then they ended up being able to move up one spot with the Bears, get Jalen Carter, and then we're just slack-jawed stunned as they watched Nolan Smith fall all the way back to them at the end of the first round.
I think
this feels very similar where they probably couldn't believe Jihad Campbell fell to them.
Well, Schefter said that they tried to trade up to get Jihad Campbell. They couldn't, so they had to wait, and he still fell to them.
Dude, you know what that reminds me of?
They did trade up one spot.
Well, yeah.
Wait, it was very strange.
They gave up the 164th pick. You know what that reminds me of? The Eagles. You know, like Franz Ferdinand when he was shot in World War I and that started World War I and everything? Do you know the way? Yeah, you remember that? Yeah. It's like,
you heard of World War I?
Yeah, you heard of World War I. Do you know the story of how Franz Ferdinand was shot? They tried to
They took a wrong turn.
They tried to blow up his car, and I think the driver threw the bomb out, and it just didn't work.
And then the killer, the killer went to a restaurant and was just hanging out at this restaurant.
They were at a bar. The
just
killer,
the worst, the worst fucking turn of events imaginable.
The assassin is just at the bar
and then led
drinking.
to a world war.
Yeah, so he's at the bar drinking, and he's like, "Fuck, I failed," and he turns around. And the fucking car, Franz Ferdinand, is just parked outside for directions at the bar. And he's like, holy shit. He walks up, he shoots Franz Ferdinand. That's the fucking Eagles every time. They're trying to trade up, they can't. And then they turn around like, holy shit, this
analogy,
guy's still here.
But yes.
Sorry, that was pretty stupid. Anyway, yeah.
That's
like the worst analogy I've ever had.
That's like Walton Goggins in White Lotus when he goes back to the hotel after. I'm like, what are you
that's
doing?
so much better. Yeah, that's better. That's probably more topical.
Spoiler, but yeah.
It was more topical than mine.
I do like the history lesson though. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
It is. Anyway. That'll make the No Context Ringer Instagram account.
Franz Ferdinand.
But overall, I guess Craig, you noted all these young quarterbacks did get offensive line help.
Yeah. Drake May, Bryce Young, JJ McCarthy, Jaden Daniels. They gave all these guys offensive linemen, which is just smart, safe, responsible thing to do.
Okay. What were your favorite, DK, what's your favorite pick from the first round?
Oh, God. Let me look. Come back to me in a second. I'll think about it.
I mean,
what was your favorite pick?
I wrote down Baltimore taking Malachi Starks, the safety out of Georgia.
Oh, yeah. That's a great one.
And then the Eagles took Jihad Campbell, and I was like, fuck, I hate them.
I know.
I'm taking that out of it because we just praised them so much.
I texted you guys right before the show, basically of course the fucking Chiefs, Eagles, and Ravens all had three of my favorite picks in this draft. It's kind of always how it happens, it feels like.
The Ravens, I mentioned this on the Wednesday show, but the Ravens getting Malachi Starks is so huge for their defense because Malachi Starks is an absolute
This was
baller.
in my mock, Heifetz.
Perfect safety. And I think it's really underrated and in a way unquantifiable and I mean that literally, I don't think there's data that really captures the impact of having two really high-level safeties in your secondary that are interchangeable.
Just interchangeability.
Kyle Hamilton and Malachi Starks in the same defense. The Ravens patched together a defense last year with Darius Washington at strong safety. Now you have Malachi Starks, Kyle Hamilton. They're basically going to be the most versatile defense in the league as long as those two guys are able to play. So I thought that was unbelievable for them to be able to snag.
That's a really good one. I mean, Josh Simmons going to the Chiefs. He's another guy
this year?
He's another guy that is coming off of a major injury, so that's the reason he fell. There's a really legitimate reason he fell to this spot. But man, when he's healthy, he could be a 10-year starter for them if he can stay healthy and get that knee right. He had a patellar injury on the knee, and patellars are always kind of tricky. But the reports coming out prior to the draft were that his knee got checked out and everything was looking really good. So
we were sitting on the couch when the Chiefs took Josh Simmons, and Jackie just turns to me and says,
Jar.
I think it's what? What'd you say?
Jar.
Oh, fuck.
Flex is going to turn into Jar.
Broke. Flex is going to turn into Jar.
Flex is Jar.
Flex is Jar.
The Flex Jar.
Flex Jar. The Jackie turns to me and says, it's kind of wild to just draft players who are injured. And I was like, yeah, it kind of is.
There's shades.
It's kind of wild.
Yeah, there's shades of gray.
You get him at a discount.
It's true. No, I mean, Josh Simmons was probably the best tackle in this class. He's probably a top 12 pick.
I mean, when you watch him pass block, it's pretty incredible. He's so smooth, so fluid, such light feet. But yeah, I mean, the injury thing is a massive thing. And also he's just, he didn't have a ton of tape because he missed most of the season against all their good opponents. But man, it could be a really good pick for them is my point. It's same with the Eagles, same with the Ravens. They're just man, how did the rich keep getting richer when they're at the fucking end of the draft?
That's what Jihad Campbell said on the stage too. He was like, the richer get rich. And I was like, that is kind of what he meant. That is kind of what he's going on. Craig, who was your favorite pick?
Kind of respect the Falcons getting 2 first-round pass rushers. That's kind of cool, even though if they spent way too much for it. And then I don't know. I kind of thought the Broncos getting Jahdae Barron was sick. Speaking of like doubling down on a part of your team that's already great. Now they're going to have Jahdae Barron, Riley Moss, Pat Surtain, like Hufanga. They got like their secondary is going to be the best in the league. It already was.
That was a good example of like we were sitting there and we all wanted the Broncos to just hit a dinger. We were like, take O'Marion Hampton. And then the Chargers took O'Marion Hampton, the running back from UNC, which I never would have thought they would do. But that's pretty sick because you can see Jim Harbaugh clearly was like chomping at the bit at the idea that there's a legendary NFL running game and it's not his.
It's so fucking classic. I just realized this. I didn't even remember it before, but it's so fucking classic that Pete Carroll and Jim Harbaugh were the two guys who picked
Talk
running
about thinking
backs.
with your dick.
I know.
Like the ultimate thing with your dick, Jim Harbaugh is just like, I want Hampton. But like having Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater at tackle, and then they move Zion Johnson to center, and they've Mekhi Becton at right guard, who is another 6'7", 340, 330. I don't know what he's playing. Like massive guy. Like the Chargers are suddenly a huge football team.
I mean, and also like, I know it's like, do you need a running back in the first round? Is that ever good value? Maybe not. So this is definitely Dick first brain, but like also you think about the Chargers, there's like nobody making plays on this. It's like you have Ladd McConkey. Outside of that, like what do you have? You have Najee Harris, Mike Williams, you have no tight ends. Like
he gives them juice that they didn't have at all.
Because he's 93rd percentile 40-yard dash, I think 93rd percentile burst score, and 96 acceleration in Madden, which 96.
I mean, I'm telling you,
NCAA football.
there was nobody to give the ball to other than Ladd.
No.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to carry. He's going to be a big time fantasy pick this year.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. Is Hampton a higher first round pick than
Is he a first round redraft pick this year?
Hampton, it's just a matter of how much Najee touches the ball. But
yeah,
I know Najee being there is like what
Najee's going to be the Gus Edwards
blocking on third down or something.
Yeah. He's going to Gus Edwards it.
Block. Yeah. But I would say next year I'd be shocked if Hampton was not a top 10 pick in fantasy.
Yeah. Agreed.
Top 10?
They're going to run.
Where are you
going to
take Jeanty?
I don't know. I don't think Hampton's top 10. Oh, total?
No, probably not.
Or top 10
but
running backs.
Eventually Hampton will be a 3-down back for a Jim Harbaugh football team. And that alone is like him and Jeanty will lead the league in carries.
Jeanty
could lead the league in carries if the Raiders.
He's a first rounder, just based on reputation.
Probably. He's probably going to be late first.
Yeah, no one's going through the first round letting Jeanty out. Even if okay, you want to do rapid fire winners and losers here?
Yeah.
Okay. I kind of thought the hats were pretty sick.
Great hats. They usually suck. They were great. Well designed.
I didn't see any of them. Can you send me a picture?
You didn't see any of the hats?
I wasn't really paying attention. I was doing something.
You were doing something.
I was writing.
You mean you didn't see that
furiously.
players at any point during the draft?
I mean, I did, but I was mostly just head down. I was like,
I'll shoot
you're the
you
hat guy.
Shoot you a link.
That's true, yeah.
One moment.
Shoot me a link.
Yeah, these look cool. They look kind of retro. It's kind of like the Abercrombie style now that all the kids are wearing.
And similarly, whoever came up with this idea, I don't know when they added it, a couple years ago, of the idea that they stop at basically like they let them take a mirror, like they stop at a mirror before they go out, but it's a camera. And that's when they put the hat on. Whoever came up with that little horse and pony show with the hallway is brilliant because it's awesome and I love it. I love the idea that they like are checking themselves out before you actually get that little moment with themselves when they gather and go out to the stage. It's actually sick and I actually liked watching all 32 of them.
Yeah, they do that on the red carpet. It's like the glam cam or whatever. It's like the slow-mo. You walk in, you do like a spin and you look at yourself.
We should do that at our next live show.
DK, I feel like you would get one of these hats. Like that Seattle hat.
These hats are kind of cool. There's a Sasquatch carrying a football on there. I like how it says the city, Seattle, Washington, on there.
Just in case.
They got the oak leaves on the bill.
Mm-hmm.
These are all right.
Oh, okay.
They're all right.
I don't know if I'd buy one, to be honest. Kind of expensive. $50.
NFLshop.com.
It's a lot for a hat.
Check it out.
It's a bad ad. Craig, any other winners?
Us, because we got to witness the announcement of when the NFL schedule is being released. We got to see that. So they didn't release the schedule. They told us when they're going to release the schedule, which is May 14th.
This is how I feel with like when they tell us when they release a trailer for when a movie trailer is coming out. I'm like, I watched a video about when I can watch a video about your video.
I know. Like, that's totally a thing now. They literally announce when trailers will be released. Colleen Wolfe and another woman, apologies, I'm forgetting her name, came out.
Rutledge.
Yes, and did like a 5 to 7 minute bit, like a segment. And then at the end, on the screen behind them, it said May 14th.
Which I believe was when they did it last year. I believe it was basically the same day last year.
God, the NFL is unreal.
They really got us.
They know what they're doing, man.
Yeah.
We were talking about how the NBA draft takes place 10 days after the NBA season ends. The NHL draft takes place like 5 days after the season ends. Not the NFL, baby.
Dude, when I first worked at Washington, I worked for the team website. It was like my first internship in college. And we were talking about big days or whatever. And they said, yeah, like the biggest traffic day on the site all year is the schedule release. It's like their Super Bowl for the website, basically. And I was blown away by that because the teams you play, home and away, is set in stone the day the regular season ends. Like you literally know all your opponents already. The schedule is just the order in which the games are played.
And we freak out about it.
And all anyone wants to do, some people want to go to the games, but all anyone really wants to do is sit there and go, win, loss, loss, schedule win, loss, Thursday, I don't know, win. We'll go like 9-7.
Yep.
That's all anyone wants to do when the schedule comes out.
Dying sport.
The fact that that's just like in the middle of you've been waiting for 2.5 months for this draft. It's like, when you're trying to when you look up a recipe online and you're like, just fucking show me the ingredients and how to put the
oh my
meal
God,
together.
you're scrolling.
Your ads are popping up. The writer's telling a story about her childhood and there's like 9
when my
paragraphs.
grandmother showed me this chicken and pimientos recipe.
Right. And it's like, I just want to know who the team is picking. I think it was like 5:25 Pacific and we were on pick 3. And I was like, my God, the NFL.
But meanwhile, yeah. I knew the Steelers pick before Craig did because I like when picks are tipped.
No, I don't like it. I don't go on social. I know. The television broadcast.
This is the opposite of what you're just saying. You want the fucking
No, I'm
suspense.
saying when I watch the broadcast, when I'm watching the product, they want me to watch the product. And then I watch the product and they just shove ads in my face and these segments that don't have anything to do with the actual players getting picked. That's what I hate.
I hear what Craig's saying. It's a reminder that you're a dog.
Roger Goodell or whoever.
Well, I like this. That's the suspense, right? Is like that you hear the sound. Who's he going to say? The guy comes out. That's the whole spectacle, right? That's what they bring you there for. They'd make it. I wish it was an 1.5-hour broadcast, and they make it 3.
Craig's best football take ever might be that a third of the success of the draft is the Pavlovian response to the little draft jingle. Like I think I need to watch the draft. Just
if you're peeing and you hear do 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 do, you're like
I'm
mid pee, pulling up your pants,
peeing all over the living room to do that. No,
rather than just what's the point? Like you're waiting around for 2.5 months and you just go on Twitter and Schefter's like, "Yep,
yes." As soon as humanly possible. I could give a fuck about like some random person going up and announcing the pick.
You're the worst person to ask this in the world in a way because you're literally writing draft grades during. You're
I'm just talking about. I'm just talking like generally speaking. I could give a flying fuck about. Someone announcing the pick on TV. Just tell me the pick as soon as you know it because I want to know it ASAP.
Do you feel as though it is a waste of time to watch the Oscars because you just tell me who won?
That's a little different.
Why?
Is it?
It's different. Well, I don't really care about the Oscars as much. So there's that.
Okay. Well, doesn't that mean it's the same?
And there's 200, there's however many, 200 and some picks in the draft.
Yeah. It's the same length of the broadcast.
For first round.
The first round and the Oscars are actually pretty comparable.
Yeah, it's like 3.5 hours.
Okay, so I guess, yes, I don't care about the pomp and circumstance. So you can just tell me who won.
Sure, yeah. So you are basically like, just send me an email.
Like, this would be like if, for instance, you spent 4 months studying the Oscars and like who would win the Oscars and like whatever, and you just wanted to know. I don't know if you spend that much time like analyzing who's going to win an Oscar or not. Maybe you do. But I'm just like, by the time we get to the draft, I'm just like, just tell me the fucking picks. I don't care about any of this shit.
No, DK asked the right question. Craig, if Matt Bellany happened to be the Schefter of the Oscars and was tweeting out the winner of like best supporting actor and you could find out 4 minutes early, would you check?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, that seems like
it's like, well, that's the whole fun is you get to be there. You see the people, you see the production. That's like the whole thing.
You get to be at the Oscars.
I'm just saying, we're sitting on the couch. I don't know. It's like we waited so long. You might as well watch it.
I like just watching television like back in my day before I could just go on the internet and find out this magic.
I like seeing it on
DK
Twitter.
is famously the guy who thinks chase scenes in movies suck. So
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Just cut to the chase, if you will.
Losers of the draft.
Cut through the chase.
Losers of the draft, rapid fire here. I think the biggest loser of the draft is the ESPN draft day predictor who gave a 4% chance that Shedeur Sanders would make it to the 22nd pick in the draft. Which is actually, who the fuck made the ESPN
like
draft
the win
day
probability
predictor?
charts.
Which makes no sense because like FanDuel and all the betting sites, Shedeur was like even odds to make it to like pick 22.
It's all we talked about. I feel like the last couple weeks is that Shedeur Sanders is probably not going to go in the top 20 picks. And they're like a 4% chance.
Craig, did you have Shedeur in your mock?
No.
Yeah. I mean, Craig he saw the signs.
30 out of 32. Well, you know why? It's why I think Mel Kiper was so mad. I think Mel Kiper, was the creator of the draft day predictor because nobody was more upset than Mel Kiper on the ESPN broadcast. This guy, every single pick, Shedeur didn't go. He popped a new blood vessel. I've never.
That's what makes him so great, though. Honestly,
but like, man, I've never seen somebody so passionate about like a mediocre quarterback.
Well, Jimmy Clausen, he was pretty excited about Jimmy Clausen too.
Every pick, he was like, they could have taken Shedeur. Like Miami takes a lineman. He's like, could have been Shedeur. I don't know what they're doing. I'm like, what?
I like that.
Who paid Mel? What's going on?
He's just going off of his rankings, you know?
I know, DK, you weren't watching the broadcast, but he was genuinely freaking out every time a team that could have drafted a quarterback didn't.
Craig, can you do a Mel Kiper impersonation?
Oh, he's hard. He's like so nasally. He's almost like an auctioneer. He's like, whoa. He's like, well, good thing Shedeur Sanders in here at the 13th spot in the draft. Good quarterback. I think he's the best quarterback. I actually had him ahead of Cameron Ward and Jaxson Dart.
That's pretty
Not
good.
bad for the first try, honestly.
That's actually incredible.
Yeah, it's hard.
Is it in poor taste if we do the Todd?
Todd. Hey, Shedeur Sanders over Jaxson Dart, Todd.
Oh, that's good. Really Craig, work on it because you're so close.
Yeah. I gotta nail the nasalness.
Will you do it one more time?
Craig, I don't know what the Pittsburgh Steelers are doing, Todd. That Shedeur Sanders sitting right there. Who's your quarterback, Todd? You're telling me you're gonna go to the season with Mason Rudolph, Todd?
Oh, that was fun.
Oh my God. All right. So we are going to be we're going to have.
Sorry, I'm losing.
That was pretty good. Oh my God.
Hey, he's so mad. My brother and I were texting each other. What the hell happened?
Dude, I got texted about it too. Someone just texted me. Mel Kiper's being so mean to Jaxson Dart right now.
So mad.
It's also all you're going to talk about tomorrow. It's going to like 3 hours of
Oh my God, dude. The show's tomorrow.
I'm praying the Browns just take him 1 overall in the second.
Do you think that Deion Sanders has even a glimmer of guilt right now for just being so extra all the time about everything?
I got to tell you, I don't think Deion Sanders has felt guilty about anything in his entire life.
That's probably
don't think that emotion exists.
He doesn't possess that
I don't think that's in his emotional range.
All right. Just checking.
Where do we want to even bother with a prediction? We're going to be doing another show after rounds 2 and 3 tomorrow. Like, if people are listening to this, it's Friday during the day. Like, are we going to, I guess we did predictions. Well, no, Craig's predictions are right. So
we should be live mocking. DK, I want you to be releasing mocks during the first round. Like after the 10th pick, I want the remaining 22 picks mocked by you.
That's good.
It has a shelf life of 12 minutes.
12 minutes to some people's a long time.
Yeah.
Plenty of time.
DK, when is your second round mock coming out?
Never. I'm not doing one.
Second round mock is sick.
You need to tap in.
There's good players left.
Yeah. Craig, if you do it, I'll do it.
Craig's going to get another 30 for 32 in round 2.
Have gets closer has to buy the other one of these $50 NFL shop hats.
There we go. That's smart.
Okay. We're going to have another show Friday night or Saturday. I don't know, whatever to call it. It'll come out after rounds 2 and 3. We're going to have another show first thing Monday morning. We have more shows after that. And again, reminder, if you stick with us for the Ringer NFL Draft Show, we are going back to the Ringer Fantasy Football Show at some point next week or the week after. Changing the name back, but it's the same feed. We make it like that because we want it to be simple for everyone. It's a great idea. And people love that we change the name. And it's super simple and great user experience. So Stick with us. We're going to have episodes all summer, every week. The schedule release, I meant to talk to you guys about this. I'm going to be in Paris for that. So, like, are we going to do the schedule release episode? I guess we could figure this out.
I mean, it's kind of the biggest day of the year, so
I know. I should probably, am I going to do this from fucking my Airbnb in Paris? I'm going to do
you're going to have to make
yeah.
time. I don't know what to tell you.
Fuck it. All right. Jackie she'll love that. Jar. Shit. Okay.
Flex
do you want to
jar.
read an email before I get out of here?
Yeah.
All right. Let me pull this up. This was a fun email. Oh, wait, no, I put it in the, no, I didn't. There's a stupid email, and then there's one that I want to read purposely because I want everyone to participate in. You want the stupid email or what do you want?
Whatever go with your heart.
The stupid email I just want to read because it made me laugh. But then there's an email I need everyone's help with listening. The stupid email is, this is from a guy named Kai.
Kai.
This is about lying to the best genre of all the lying, which is lying to your little siblings. My brother and I convinced my little sister when we were growing up that we adopted her from a potato farm. And her parents were potatoes. And my parents found out about this lie when my sister went to kindergarten and they wrote about their families and my sister drew potatoes and said that was her real family.
Oh, this makes me sad.
That's good. No, that's good.
It's very funny.
With the family portrait and it's fucking potatoes.
They're like either your daughter thinks that her parents are potatoes or she is the worst drawer of all time.
The worst drawer.
Or she really needs glasses.
Have you checked her vision?
There's something wrong with her, but we don't know what it
Everything's
is.
blurry.
Sorry.
Hyphen just coughed
The guys laughing really, really hard right now are the ones that don't have a child. And it kind of made me a little sad.
I'm crying.
We're like, ha, ha, ha.
Fucking stupid kid.
Stupid kid thinks her family's potatoes.
Dumb kid.
Kid can't even draw good.
She drew great. Going right up on the refrigerator. Okay, this one's from Jake.
Jakey.
Obviously, we have done.
J-Bone.
Well, obviously, for those who don't know, we have had a wonderful time this offseason doing 2 workplace platforms and a lie.
Ooh, yeah.
Which was really eye-opening about how we all have this weird shared experience of these horrific workplace platforms and their preposterous names.
Jamf.
Bloop.
Be Swift.
Glint.
Koopa.
Koopa.
And then there's Koopa, parentheses, internal.
No, not that Koopa. You can't go in there.
You got to use.
We got an email
use
from
Jamf
Jake
to log into Koopa.
Yeah,
to fill
Jamf
out the
to log
glint
into
circle.
Koopa.
And then you need
Well, that's what Octa's for.
Splurge to authenticate to get into there on your phone.
Yeah. And then you can watch your favorite show on Fubo.
I don't know why you. Zendaya's Michi? What's the one that's Mubi?
Zendaya is Michi. LeBron James is Guanji.
But you can watch it on Mubi.
You can watch it on Guanji.
So anyway, we got an email from Jake.
Jakey.
Jacob.
I am a state employee in the Midwest, helping people. He helps people with disabilities find work, and they got an email from a senior official in our state's central office asking for submissions for the name for the next case management work platform that they are building. And he thought I should immediately submit this to the foremost experts on work platform names and their validity. Our current system is a boring acronym that is just 4 letters. They are looking for an acronym, and the only hitch is we do have to explain our submissions. I can figure that part out. Submissions are due May 15th. So we could name a workplace case management work platform for a Midwestern
It needs
state.
to be like 4 or 5 letters to make it easy for him for the acronym, probably.
Yes, but we could name this. We could name one. It'll be used by a state.
It should just be like Florg.
I was thinking something like Clerp.
We should do Guanji.
Guanji's really good, actually.
Clerp. Should we make a poll? We should do like March Madness for the fucking...
Chablair.
Yeah, it's just like Floop.
Just something really guttural.
Orgo.
What was Danny DeVito's character?
Danny DeVito was...
Dorgle.
Dorgle?
Right?
Let me look up Smallfoot. Let me look up the films, the animated
we
film.
gotta make it a
Smallfoot.
Smallfoot character.
So we have Migo, Michi, Kolka, Dorgle,
Kolka.
Guanji, Thorpe.
Thorpe is
pretty good.
Thorpe is good.
Fleam is good.
It's definitely Fleam.
Eli Henry is Fleam. I like Fleam. That sounds like a Spotify.
It really does.
I think Fleam.
Are we sure it's not already?
That sounds like a Spotify platform.
Fleam, Thorpe, and Kolka to me are those are the clubhouse leaders.
Can we go with Fleam? I like
Fleam. Yeah, I think that's the end. Email us if you have another one you think we should use. But yeah, Jake, I think right now we're going to go with Fleam. We've got 10 days left, 20 days left to figure that out. We have till the schedule release.
Yeah.
We should really figure out a way to get the schedule release from the NFL released on Fleam.
Yeah, DK, I believe the Oscars this year, if you want to watch, will be streaming on Fleam.
Why would he watch? Just tweet it out.
Yeah, I'll be watching via Blue Sky.
Follow us on Blue Sky.
Just
follow us
judges
on
me.
Ringer Fantasy Football on Instagram. Ringer Fantasy Football on TikTok. And follow us at our names on Blue Sky.
I'm at Fleam.
Fleam. You should get the handle for Fleam.
Yeah, before it blows up.
Yeah. Flume is probably taken. All right. Thank you, DK. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Austin. Thank you, Kai. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Troy. Thank you, everyone, for listening for the draft show. Holy shit, the draft. I mean, it's not over yet because we have like 2 more draft episodes and then 2 more draft episodes and then we go back to fantasy.
Yeah, but the first round, that was a big one. That was the big one.
Yeah.
It's the biggest. Thank you, everyone, honestly, for listening. It feels weird to say thank you fully because we're not done yet with the draft show, but thank you. And of course, thank you, Lord.
Whoa. Thank you, Chapel Roan or Chapel. Is it Chapel or Chapel?
God damn it.
Chap. Well, I mean,
Chapel?
It's Chapel, but
Okay.
you've already said
Could you
her,
name-
I think.
Yeah.
No, I have not.
Yeah.
You guys brought her up, I'm pretty sure.
do you know anything about Chapel Road?
I do not. Maybe I have brought her up.
Do you know any of her songs?
I heard one the other day when you pointed it out.
Oh, yeah.
You know
We
what
were
it was?
somewhere. We were in like a restaurant. I think it
I
was
don't-
Good
I
Luck,
don't
Babe.
have- I don't have a strong memory of the song.
Honestly, DK, her album is like fucking A1.
It's
Bangs.
It's actually incredible. I think it's rare to have like a new artist you've never heard of and you turn it on and you're like, oh wait, all of these are actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's like there's like 7 awesome songs on one album. It was like that first Katy Perry album that went just nuclear that had like every great song Katy Perry's ever had was on that one album.
Because I think the first time you hear Chapel Roan, you're like, oh, so there's like a single and then she released an album. And you're like, oh wait, no, actually. There's like 7 songs you could listen to for the first time and you're like, that's a good song.
Yeah.
I also worry for her. DK, you know what you should do? You should go watch the SNL. Well, he has to see the tweets from Chapel Roan because she got really famous like really fast.
Yeah.
She had like the biggest crowd in the history of Lollapalooza. They had to move her to a Thursday.
Yeah.
Just because it was so big. And or Friday. And Bowen Yang did a bit Chapel Roan had an Instagram where she was like, I hate being famous. I don't really want to do this anymore. Please give me space. Don't talk to me in public. You don't know anything about me. I don't owe you anything.
Oh,
and so
wow.
Bowen Yang went on SNL and did that attitude, but he dressed as Moo Dang, the hippo. And he just pretended Moo Dang was having like an existential crisis with fame. And honestly, it's like, it was my favorite thing SNL's done in years.
All right.
It single-handedly changed Tyvit's opinion of SNL.
It did, actually. It really did. I was like, watch that. I'm like, I'm so back.
You're back.
I'm back. It's incredible.
Yeah, DK, I can't recommend her album enough. She only has
All right.
one.
Check it out. 45 million active listens a month or whatever.
Also, there's a crazy video of her doing Pink Pony Club at like some state fair or something to zero crowd. And then someone cut to that with a drone shot of her Lollapalooza crowd. And it was like 3 years. And it was pretty epic.
I'm sure you've heard Hot to Go many times, DK.
Yeah.
The only
I
one
recognize the
don't
song
love
that
is-
you pointed out.
I think Feminine Nonomon. There's a couple where she spells.
Feminine Nomenon. The one
Feminine
I
Nomenon.
really like that's not that popular, but is my favorite is Super Graphic Ultra Modern Girl. That song bangs.
Yeah. Naked in Manhattan's good. Jackie texted me, ugh, Chapel.
Right now?
Yeah.
Jar.
She heard me. Jar, fuck. Oh, Google Gemini. Great. Has no clue. Dude, Google Gemini's the dumbest. I think Google Gemini probably made the ESPN draft predictor with milk.
Craig, I just saw a tweet that you might appreciate. Gray Zabel, this is from John Boyle, covers the Seahawks, buddy of mine. Gray Zabel just finished up a conference call with Seattle media. Said the plan tonight is to, quote, start diving into these bush lights and celebrate, unquote.
Oh, yeah. Split the B.
Oh God, can you tell the story about how I tried to split the G?
Dude, that's all right. There's nothing to be ashamed of. That was your first G.
It was a tough try. It was a tough effort.
To be fair, I had never actually done it in a Guinness glass, and I actually realized I had no concept of
Can you split the G in a non-Guinness glass?
No, I never actually sat down and done it.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And I just realized I had no concept of how much I really needed to get down.
Look, not everybody can.
6 gulps would work.
Not everybody can find the G spot.
I was way off.
No. Gemini's telling me that Bad Romance is a Chapel Roan song. What'd you say?
I was going to let it go.
I said I
and
heard
just
that,
for the
Craig.
people at home.
What did you say?
I said
because not everybody can find the G spot. It's very elusive, Craig.
Thank you. I just kind of slipped that in there.
I don't believe it exists.
Craig,
it's a myth.
Craig, wasn't that a thing you and your roommate said?
Oh my God.
Yeah, we used to have the joke that like women couldn't come, essentially.
He's like, isn't it wild that women can't
It's
come?
crazy that women are incapable of having an orgasm. That's a sad truth of being a woman, but it is what it is. So it's just crazy. I recently found that out, but it makes sense. Sad. Feel bad for them, but look,
Oh my God.
that's how they were born.
Goodbye, everyone.